So the card I want to focus on for today's craft along is actually this one. And this will be in a separate video and with the instructions in the blog. And this is, I don't know, she called it a pop-up present card. So this is the first one I made, and I used here the Beautiful Words of Cheer set, which I rather like, and I love the sentiments from it. This is the set. It comes with these lovely fonted sentiments, and so you've got holidays for those that don't want to use Christmas, Christmas, happy Christmas, Christmas cheer, happy holidays, whatever, season's greeting, happy wishes, joyful Christmas, and some beautiful shaped just little pictures there. Poinsettias, that's the word I was trying to think of. And then it comes with or matches to this lovely set of dies, and I need to play with these. This die cuts out the letters that fit inside these. So I'm going to make a card with those and show you that again, and the happy fits inside that. So very simple to make a very wow card very quickly using these dies. This is a Christmas cheer die, so it cuts out the poinsettia bundle. There's that rather nice thing, little stars and some little leaves, which I have used in another project, which I'll show you, which I think it's this week's Christmas countdown, so it will be out as we speak tomorrow. So Christmas countdown 11, I've shown you how I've used those leaves. Anyway, that was the first one I made, and you probably can't see it, but it's all shiny because I've used a lot of Wink of Stella on the poinsettias and the berries. You're just getting a hint of it there. And then I should put little gems in the middle of the poinsettias. So, and just a nice little sentiment on the bottom. So this is the wow bit of the card. So when we open it up, we've got some presents there. Now I did this one in cherry cobbler and crumb cake, and I like it, but actually I find it a little bit boring. So the one we're going to make today, I've changed slightly. So let's get on to the one we're going to make today. And I've actually got the front already done just to save some time, because you don't need to see me doing all that, but I'll show you how I'm going to do the center bit. So to make this card, the first thing you need is a basic card base, and I've again gone for cherry cobbler, and that's your normal basic card base. So the normal width of A4, 14.8 centimeters, scored at 10.5, and that gives you your cherry cobbler card base. Then the center bit, this is the bit that takes the time I'm going to show you how to do today. So I've cut my bits of DSP already. I've just put those safely to one side. So this center bit, this is the bit that I'm going to do. So I'm using just basic white. I can get that mark off it. There we go. I'm using basic white, and this is 8. I'm going in inches because for our trimmer it actually makes it a little bit easier. So I've gone in inches, which is 8.5 inches wide, scored at 4 1/16. I'll show you that on the trimmer. And the depth of it is 5 3/4. And what that means is that when we put it together in the card, that I'm going to have a little border all the way around, because I want that, it looks better. So you can see in this one that I'd already done, it just gives me a little border all the way around, which really looks better. So then you've got to do your marking and your scoring. So this picture is on the website, so you've got all of these markings. So how we're going to do it, we're going to measure from the top, and that's the purpose of that little arrow there. It says measure from the top, and then we're going to put a mark. We're actually going to put it in the middle, and we're going to mark. So I'll just move that up there. I'll try and do it on top of it so you can see me as I do it. So I'm just going to grab a pencil and my ruler, and then I'm going to mark. And the first mark, it says mark at 1.5 inches. So here's my ruler on my center here. So it's 5 3/4, so we know that. So 1.5 down, I'm just going to make a little mark. And then my next one needs to be at 2.5. So I make the next one at 2.5. The next one down is 3 3/4, so 3 3/4, measure that one. And the final one is 5 1/4, so 5 1/4. So those are my main marks that I need to make on the card. Now you can make them, I've just realized I've made the mark on the inside of the card. I can always fold it this way, it's not a problem. But if you do your marks on the back, you don't even need to rub them out, because nobody will see them. So the next thing we need to do is work out the width for each of these presents. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and from this bottom mark, which I've marked in the center here, I'm going to mark out 1.5 inches each side. So I know if I put my ruler on that mark at 1.5 inches, make sure it's nice and straight. I'm using the lines on my paper here, my base here to do it. So I put it on at 1.5. I can make a little mark there and a little light line across to the 3 the other side. So that's given me my line 1.5 inches each side. Need to do the same at my next mark. Okay, so again, I'm going to put my ruler on at 1.5 inches there. And I've got my line at the bottom too to help me line it up and make sure it's nice and straight. So I'm going to mark again at 3 inches, little line across and back to the naught. So I've got 1.5 each side. So that's my first block. On this mark, we look at here and it's 1.25 each side. So I'm going to do the same thing again, this time lining up at 1.25. So 2 1.25 is 2.5. So I need to make a mark there and a line across and mark at naught again. So again, I've got 1.25 each side. The final one is 1 inch either side. So I'm going to go, I'll put it on the 1 so I can go to 2, because that's easy maths. That one's the hardest maths. So I've now got my 3 lines of different sizes. Then I'm going to mark on these lines. So this is my 1.25 line. And the one above is 1. So I'm going to mark it at 1. So I can actually do it this way. Mark it at 1 inch either side. Just put a little mark there. On this one, you want to mark at 1.25 inches either side. So in other words, 1/4 inch in from each end. And the reason for that is that you're going to do some little dotted lines here. So those clear lines I've done are my cut lines, the ones across. The ones here need to be, so just using my ruler to do it nice and straight. I'm going to put creases down those lines. I'm going to do this either side. So I've got my dots to line up here and here. And finally here. So that gives me my template for what I'm going to be doing and cutting. So, and as I say, that is on the website if you need all of those measurements. So it gives you a bottom present 1.5 inches tall, a middle one 1.25, and a top one 1 inch. So let us now get the trimmer and I'll show you how we then do that, because the beauty of this, and I'm going to have to, not sure I'm going to do this, because you need to get your head right above it, which could be difficult today. But the beauty of our wonderful trimmers is that I can put this in, and as I put the bar down, I can actually see my, I need to move it just fractionally, but I can see, can you see that? My actual drawn line, I can actually see it in the gap. You perhaps can't see that very well, but it's, you look, there's a dot in the center, you can see the dot, and there's a line either side. So I know I've got my dots. I know that it's lined up properly, and that's my first cut. So I need to cut from this mark here down to this mark here. So to do that, I need to stand up because I need to be right above it. I'm going to have to pull it down so I don't knock the camera here. So I'm going to move, and the beauty of our trimmer marks is they've got little dashes each side, little lines each side. So I can line that up with my dotted line. So I know I'm at the start of the cut, and I'm going to move it down to this dotted line. So I'm going to cut down there to that mark there. So I've got that dotted line there. I've done that cut. Now we need to do the same sized cut on the next one. So we're cutting from point to point, not just to this marked point here. That's for a crease. The cut line is the whole thing. So again, I'm going to line it up so it's right in the middle of my, that's it, lovely. This time I can use the dotted line coming out at the bottom and line this up with my dotted line, so I know the cut's in the right place, and move it up, and again move it up so I'm against this dotted line, and now I know I've done the right sized cut. So I'm going to do the same thing here, again point to point. Let's see if I can get this roughly in. Yeah, so same thing again. I'm going to line it up with my dotted. This is why it's worth drawing these lines on your card so that you can get these really lines up, because you don't want the cuts to go any further than your marks, and it's fiddly to do it, to be honest, with scissors. You really do need a trimmer for this. So there we go, that's that cut, and then my final cut is this top one here. And again, make sure I've got that lined up, which I have. So I'm going now from this dotted line to this one. And that gives me all of my cuts. Then I need to make sure I've moved that blade out of the way, because the next bit is to do the score line. So again, I can get these lined up. I can bring my score down, use the little mark on it to move between the two lines. So I need to do one there to there. And I need to move to do the next one there, just there to there. And the next one, there we go, is there to there. You see, I've done those 3 cut lines. Need to do the same the other side. So again, I'm going to line it up. This time it's there to there. Line it up again for the next one. Again, look for the line in your groove so you know you're in the right place. And the final one. So that, cutting and scoring, and that's the bit I wanted to show you, because that's the slightly awkward bit, just to make sure you get it right. So I've now cut all of those out. Now this is the side I've drawn on, so I'm going to make this the inside of my card, if I can get that cut looking neater, or I can simply rub out all of this, which I think might be better given that funny thing. So I'm just going to rub out all my lines. Before I start bending things, because I am going to make this the inside of my card. So you can do this, of course, make it on the inside and then get rid of all those pencil marks. So I've got rid of all my pencil marks, and this is what I'm left with. So now I've already folded my main card, but these now need to fold the opposite way. So I've got my cuts, so I just need to push those out. And then if I fold my card gently, this is the fiddliest bit, I want to make sure that I score these lines. I'm just using my finger, not my bone tool, to push it in from each side and do a little bend on those lines and a little bend on these lines here. It's wanting to start to fold over already, as you can see. So I'm just using my fingers just to bend those and get those folds ready, and then I can squash the whole thing down, make sure that I am neat and even. There we go. Now I can give it all a really good bone fold. I fold my little tab, my bigger tab, and obviously these. There we have our pop-up fold ready. So before, I'm going to get all my other bits here, and I'm going to show you how I stick it in. Now I stuck it in here before I stuck my DSP on, and I'll show you why in a bit. So when I'm sticking it on, I need to make sure that I'm not putting any glue anywhere near these, because we don't want anything there. So I am just going to put glue around the edges and up to those presents. I'm going to put some along the bottom because we want that to be nice and firm. Then we'll go up this side, across here, go to there, across here, down to here. And then I can just put a little bit each side without going anywhere near the presents. That is going to be great. So how to put this into the card? I am actually going to fold it, try not to get too much glue all over me as I do this. And you could actually do glue one side and then the other. That would be more sensible, to be honest, and then you wouldn't get glue everywhere. So I'm going to put one bit in and then fold the card over to put the other bit in. So there we have our present card. So I decided I wanted a bit more in here, so I've actually cut 2 strips, 5 3/4 by 1 inch, just to put on here, because I think that's going to add to this. So I'm going to just pop those in first, and I'll show you about putting the presents bits in. So I'm going to put that one in there, and I'm putting these in before I'm stamping. If you're not sure about your stamping, if you want to be able to use the reverse side, the spare side of this, because of course you can reverse all those folds and it'll just fold the other way, then please do your stamping before you stick it all in. But I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try it, which probably means I'll make a mess of it. Doesn't really matter too much. There's always ways to amend problems. But I want to show you about the pieces to put on here. And I'm blowed if I can find my It's all on the website anyway, but it's just a fraction less. So it's 1 and, so this is, this thing is 1.5 deep. So these ones are 1 and 7, yeah, 7/16. When I said I was going to show you that on here, actually, so I can show at the top here, each of these little marks here, these ones here, they are 1/16 of an inch. So when I'm saying 1 and 7/8, I mean up to this mark here. So it's not 1.5, that's this bigger mark, it's 1 and there, 7/16. So the depth of that is 1 and 7/16. And then the width, again, because this is 3 across, it's actually 2 and take 2 off, 14/16. I can, adding 16ths is awkward again because I want a little rim all the way around, but not a big rim. So the way I found best to stick these on is once you've got your pieces of DSP, I'm going to use the red side for this, red, then green, then red, fold them the way you want them to go. So I'm going to fold it like that. And then, oh, hold it down. Cool, fiddly fingers today. If I can't do this on the big one, that's going to be a challenge on the smaller one. Make sure the edges are even and then just push it down with your finger. And that gives you the cover for the first one. So we're going to do that with all of the others. So again, I'm going to fold it in half, get the edges nice and even, and then just squeeze with my fingers to form the center fold. And the same with the top one, which is even more fiddly because it's tiny. And again, the measurements for all these bits are on the website under this video. So here we go. That's my final one. So those are my 3 bits. Then when I put them on, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the edges of each of these. Not too much anywhere else because it doesn't really matter. And then I can stick them on neatly there. Now I've got my first one. It's just easier to put the bend in when you put it on. Otherwise, you've got a little bit of strain on the bend when you've put it on the card. So just remember to do that bend first because it really helps. That's the second, third. And there is my pop-up present card. Now what I did on this one is that I've actually added a printed, a stamped bow on the top there. I did play with putting a real bow on, but actually it's not brilliant. Although you could stick it to one side and have it sort of open up across. I am not sure. I'm going to play with that and think about a bow from the top of here because I just feel it needs something. I might just stamp a couple of stars or something. So all that really remains for this card is I need to stamp my sentiments. I'll probably use the ones from this wonderful set here and just stamp inside and then write it. On the front, what I've done to decorate this, I've used another piece of DSP as my layer here. Again, just a little bit tinier than the card front. The measurements are below. Cut this one out with one of the, the names are escaping me, the scallop contour, are they? Contour dies anyway. One of those, just any die that you've got that fits a nice shape. And all I've done here is cut different sized rectangles or squares of DSP, put them on here, raising one on dimensionals, and I've just used a little bit of gold twine to make little bows for the top of it. So I'm going to do something in here, but I haven't quite decided what. I might put a little bow each side or something like that. I don't want much because there's already a little bit of depth in the card, so I don't want to add to the depth. So you need to be a little bit careful with that, but just something on here would look rather nice. So these are the bits I've put on the front. You'll probably just see those. They're rather nice paper. It's got little gold flecks in. And then I just stamped a sentiment on the bottom. You can obviously decorate the front as you want. This is the one I did here. Cut that out on just using a little strip and use the punch on the ends. And I cut out an oval for that with the old retired oval dies, which I'm never getting rid of because I love them for this sort of thing, for that picture. So you can decorate the front how you want, but I decided if I've got presents inside, I'll put presents on the front on this one. So I hope you enjoyed that and I hope you have fun making it. I love these sorts of pop-up cards. I really do. So I hope you enjoy that. Thanks for joining me today.